I'm Vin.
I'm Sori.
That's Booby.
And Colby and Chip.
It's freaking dark in here.
I know.
What in the world?
Because your computers are off.
My computer Dora's. Let there be lights.
And there was light.
Blind Guardian. So this is a song that we had queued up and ready to listen to, and then as soon as I saw the actual title of the song, I said, nope, we're not doing it. Because we had just done an extended talk about Valhalla, because that's when we had watched Vikings.
Right. And there was another song about Valhalla. I don't know who it was. Iron Maiden or somebody else.
I'm pretty sure it was like Dio or something like that.
Yeah, I don't.
Pretty sure it was
seemed
Dio.
like there was like two of them in a row where it was that topic.
Yeah.
So we were like.
So I'm like, no. So here we are,
talking about the same thing.
7 months later. This was Evan, right? There was somebody that was mad at us and then sent us an apology and all this. And you didn't have to apologize, big homie. I get it. But I appreciated the big homie for doing that.
I thought it was nice too.
I thought it was really, really sweet that he did that. Mm-hmm. But it's okay if you're mad at us. That's what friends do.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really possible to be around me long and not be angry at me. So, it's okay. But anyway, Valhalla Blind Guardian. You know what's interesting is the original one is like 4 minutes long, right?
Yeah, the lyric video was like 5 minutes.
The live one, you might not remember this, but this version was the one that we had queued up and ready to go.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was like, let's do the long live version, because the original person that asked for this song is whatever. So anyway, let's go. Blind Guardian, Valhalla. Let's do it.
There was some major crowd participation there.
Well, it's one of those anthems. That's I remember, was it Metallica? I think it was Fade to Black. I'm not sure, but I saw Metallica live, and then it got darker, because they were the last band to play, and everybody had their lighters up for Fade to Black, and it was crazy, just because it's an anthem and the crowd just kind of participates, and it's crazy to see thousands of people. Anytime when there's an organizing principle where thousands of people are doing something, it's one of the most beautiful things in the world.
Yeah, it is.
It's a crazy, what is it? How good and pleasing in the eyes of God is it when brothers dwell together in unity.
Yeah.
And obviously God's perfect ideal is everybody's in unity toward the right thing, right, toward God. But at the same time, it's I still think that he thinks that that's a beautiful thing. People can come together out of love for the music and love for, it's a crazy feeling. I'm thinking about the bands that we're going to see this summer. I'm not sure because they're newer bands, Korn and Slipknot. I'm not sure that there are those kind of anthems where just really big, booming.
Yeah.
Man of War was like that too, that band, Man of War, when they were doing remember they had all the bikes up on the stage and all that, and the crowd was it was like a trillion people, and the crowd was crazy.
I don't think they're gonna see that review. Is that review out, or is that one that's
Man of War is already out.
Future. Oh,
Man of War is already out, but I'm very, now I see, because the song was 4:30 or something like that.
Yeah, why?
And then it was a 7 minutes video. Now I see why, because
the crowd put in there and put up I wonder how they got them to stop.
I don't know. It probably just went to the next song.
You'd have to, because
they weren't stopping.
How can you stop that many people and say, okay, it's time now?
Well, we've been in church situations where it's we're going to do X amount of songs for worship, and then the sermon, and then whatever. But then there have been times when people just wanted to keep singing.
Well, yeah, but you kind of knew when it was done. You know what I mean? People kind of knew when to stop.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Obviously the crowd wasn't that big.
Right. Well, I think like I said, you just go to the next song. You play the opening notes of the next song. Everybody knows.
Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, that's.
Unless it's the last song they did.
I'd insult everybody. I'd be like, okay, guys, it's enough.
You would do that. You'd be like, that's enough. We're moving to the next thing.
We're moving on now.
Yeah.
We only have 45 minutes that we're allowed to be out here, so.
Well, I'm glad that we had to wait. We put some space behind it. The name of the record is Follow the Blind.
Honestly, I don't even understand what they were saying. Have you ever forgotten me?
It's about a wizard. I mean, it says it explicitly. I am a wizard.
Yeah.
Let's see. Don't Break the Circle, Barbara Ann, Long Tall Sally, Mordred's song, The Wizard, there he is again. So, Inquisition is the first record, Follow the Blind. Yeah, so, I don't know. We'll get into the breakdown in a second, but...
I didn't know if he didn't make it to Valhalla, and he was like, why did you?
Yeah, why?
Have you forgotten me? How did I land here? I should have been in Valhalla.
That's a crazy line. Why have you ever forgotten me?
I know.
It's a really awkward English structure. Yeah. Why have you ever forgotten me? So Valhalla has forgotten him, I guess, is what he's saying. Yeah. So, high in the sky where eagles fly, Mordred the Dark enters the throne. So I'm assuming that Mordred is the wizard, is the protagonist.
Okay.
Because he says...
Yeah.
He says right there, I'm the wizard, I'll change it all.
Well, yeah, is he planning on trying to change Valhalla? Because he says, open wide the gate, friend, the king will come in. Blow the horn and praise the highest lord who will bring the dawn. He's the new god in the palace of steel. Persuade the fate of everyone. The chaos can begin, let it in. It doesn't sound like he's...
There's a new god.
Yeah, it sounds like he's coming in, he wants to rule Valhalla. And then Valhalla doesn't let him in, maybe.
I don't think that's what's happening. So many centuries, so many gods. We were the prisoners of our own fantasy, but now we're marching against these gods. I'm the wizard, I will change it. So what I'm thinking is, he, as the wizard, is going to march against the new gods. Because he's talking about the new god here. And then he's saying we're going to march against these gods. Which gods? I'm assuming it's the new god.
Oh.
And you have to remember, with the Nordic stuff, there's always that background of Christianity coming in and remember?
Yep.
Christians coming in and forcibly changing people's religion?
Yeah.
So I feel like this is one of those situations where I always assume that that's what's in the background. Because if you look, he's the new god in the palace of steel, persuade the fate of everyone. And this guy is saying, I'm marching against that. We're marching against these gods. I'm the wizard. I'll change it all. So it looks to be like he's...
Well, I was wondering how a wizard could even land in Valhalla, because you were supposed to... It was like when you were in the heat of the battle and stuff. So you're saying he's waging war against the Christian god, is what you're thinking.
That's my assumption.
Yeah.
So when you hear Valhalla, why have you forgotten me? I think what he's saying is it's a way to mourn the loss of his old religion, right? Because this new god has come in, killed everybody, set up shop in their place. So it's almost as if Valhalla has forgotten them, which is really interesting because usually you're looking at it like, oh, we forgot about Valhalla because now we're focusing on these other gods. So it's like when you lose the old ways, it's like you've forgotten the old ways, right? That's usually. But what's interesting is he's saying it's not that we've forgotten the old ways; it's that we've been almost forgotten by our gods or our old ways. That's why the chorus was pretty crazy, and that's why you saw those people waving their flags and stuff because it's like. They're trying to hold on to their heritage.
Oh, okay.
So, that's a pretty deep, national trauma that happens when you come into the knowledge that the way that things are is not the way things always were with your people and the norms that are accepted now and like when you really start becoming connected to your ancestors, it all depends on how everybody's got to handle that differently,
right?
And if you come from it, and it's just human nature, obviously. Human nature is about war and conquest and all that. But if you're if you happen to be as an accident of history or God's sovereignty, however you want to call it, if you happen to be on the winning side of that particular conquest, you have no idea what it's like to be on the other side of that, where that was taken from you. See what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And whoever's on the other side, you kind of end up feeling like, wait a second, and then you start feeling all of this hostility, and then you have to figure out how to deal with it. A lot of the times, it comes through art. So when I came to this country, my mom immediately, made sure that she inculcated me with. Pan-African, Marcus Garvey, those types of things in order to give me that sense of self, but it also gave me a sense of the side-eye where white people are. You know what I mean? So it's that's kind of, I think that's why I have so much appreciation and respect for Nordic people when they seem, especially in the metal community, it seems that they're very focused on who they were before this happened, who they were before, Christianity was foisted upon them.
Yep.
And so I think that that's beautiful. I think that that's right. Now, obviously, as a Christian, I don't believe that the Nordic way, the native Nordic way, is the way to God. But I also don't believe that the invading Christians and what they were doing were the way to God either.
No, I don't know.
So, and obviously, with me. I'd say you got a better shot at getting to the truth from the Nordic side than from the invading Christian side, that's for sure. But that's just my opinion. But, so it seems to be that that's what's going on, and so...
Yeah, I think that's what makes me really anxious to do that test.
Do what?
Where we can check
the
our
ancestor thing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've been told what's in my blood, but I want to I'd like to know more definitively.
Yeah, maybe after Orion. Because probably Orion's probably going to screw with your
Jan said it
results
wouldn't,
anyway.
but
Really?
yeah. But you know what? The thing is, you know how I am. If I have something in my head, forget about it. Like,
Right.
the Pope himself could tell me, it doesn't matter. So I have it in my head that this baby is half Jamaican, it's going to screw with my thing. So I gotta wait till after.
The fortress burns, broken my heart. I leave this world. All gods are gone. See, there it is. Mm-hmm. So many centuries, so many gods. We were the prisoners of our own fantasy. But then we had nothing to lead our life. No, we can't live without gods. Whoa. So it seems to me what he's saying is this little stanza right here is about, I think, his present day understanding of his history.
Oh.
Which is, you know, gods and all this over the centuries, there's like thousands, there's millions of them, you know, and we were prisoners of our own fantasy. And he's basically saying none of them were really real. But basically, without them, we had nothing to lead our life. We can't live without the gods.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, Nietzsche's, you know, dilemma with the madman out in the town square that talks about, oh, we've killed God and all that. And then the guy goes crazy because he's like, well, then now what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And so Nietzsche's solution was, well, you know, we'll eventually, he basically prophesied all the destruction of the 20th century. And then he said, we will be able to rise above all of this and we'll become the overman. We'll overcome all this, the Ubermensch. We'll overcome all this stuff and we'll figure out how to actually have a good running society without the necessity for gods. But before that, there's going to be a lot of bloodshed and death. Because once you pull that stopgap away, then you've got no basis for so, sure enough, I think he prophesied like 100 million deaths or something like that. Nietzsche did. And at the time, people were like, man, you're crazy, bruh.
How many was there?
150 million? Wow. Between Nazi Germany and communist China and communist Russia.
Because it didn't eliminate God from any of it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like God was eliminated and then you had all those deaths. God was never eliminated.
Well,
the consciousness of mankind.
Yes and no, because that's what the communists were trying to do. They were trying to eradicate any sort of theistic understanding and inculcate their state atheism. But the point is that Nietzsche, he predicted all the destruction of the 20th century. And then, you know, I agree with you. Like, we haven't been able to come up with the Ubermensch. We haven't been able to become the overman that then, you know. And you're also right. Is God's never left the con. Even in I was reading this article. I think it was called "Militant State Atheism: Why an Atheist Monopoly Failed." It was talking about Russia, and they were talking about the attempts for the Russian government and the Russian elites to eradicate not just Christianity but theism from the Russian populace failed because, long story short, he basically said they weren't persuasive. It was just blah, you know, slash and burn, but it wasn't persuasive.
Yep.
And so because nobody was persuaded, as soon as all that acrimony ended, they just went back to their, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so
yeah.
You know, anytime you can choose between power and influence, you want to use influence because if you use power, then it's not long lasting. So, but with
Some people aren't intelligent enough to use influence.
I don't think it's intelligence. I just think it's laziness.
Well, you would. That's because you have the intelligence to do it, so it doesn't require the energy that.
Yeah, but Lenin, Stalin, Mao, those guys were brilliant. Those guys were brilliant people.
Yeah.
But I just think they had a timeline.
Yeah, I'm just simplifying it down to me and the kids. Sometimes I just don't. I will argue with them, and then finally I'm like, I'm the mom.
Well,
do it.
I don't think those are mutually exclusive. I just think Lenin and those guys had a timeline for when they wanted this revolution to.
Yeah.
And so they were looking at it like, this is an impediment to our revolution. We can get rid of these people. And they were of the assumption that, you know, once the main players in a religious society are gone, then other people are going to be, you know, are going to follow suit, because they really believed that the religious elite were corrupting the minds of people, and that. Well,
yeah, if you don't really believe it and you think that it's just, you're like, okay, I can think past this. These people need to think past it. Then if we just eliminate it, then we don't have to worry about that. I can totally see where they came to that.
Yeah. But it's amazing in this discussion because he talks about being prisoners of our own fantasy and all that. And it's a very compelling picture to think of a wizard who comes to the conclusion that the entire thing was fantasy, while at the same time saying, but we can't live without this fantasy. That's a pretty compelling picture.
Yeah.
Know? So, but yeah, beautiful song. And I love the crowd. That's why I'm always gonna love live over.
I like seeing the artists because, I like the music videos because they're a lot of times they're like entertaining, but I like the live because I feel like it doesn't distract from the actual music because you're seeing them doing. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing the action of the instrument.
Well, the other thing is I love when bands. Sometimes I look at a band and I'm like, they would be playing this song if the exact same way if there were 4,000 people or if there were 4 people. And I don't know why, but I love it when a guitarist is quoting the lyrics of the song as he's playing. Like, I just love that because I'm like, okay, like he's feeling what his... Because usually the singer writes the lyrics. So I'm like, whoa, he's feeling what his singer was saying.
Yeah.
That type of camaraderie. I just think that's
I agree with
that's
that.
mind blowing. I love seeing that. So yeah, I love the song. What do you give it?
Probably a 9. I love that chorus part.
This is, and you'll see it when you go to the Slipknot show. That song, if their entire set was full of songs like that, they would have to do a lot of working out before they went on tour.
Oh.
Because that is freaking exhausting. I remember when I went to my first Slipknot show, and they only had a 20-minute set, you know, because it was when they it was like 99, maybe 2000, Tattoo of the Earth with Metallica. And they had a set in the daytime. And it was only 20 minutes, but like at the end of it, I was exhausted because, especially from the first record, there were no breaks on the first record, none. So it was just front to back. So you're just like, yeah! And then at the end of it, like, I collapsed, and there was still like 3 or 4 bands to play before Metallica showed up. Yeah, it was unbelievable. We were like laid out in the subway. We were taking like.
I bet.
Yeah. So that must be very exhausting to play if all those songs are like that.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully they have a couple songs where it's like you'll see when you go to the Slipknot show in August. It'll be like your neck will be killing you. You probably should have Ubered over there. All right, what do you give the song?
I already gave it a 9. You were waiting for yours.
Good solid 9.5 for sure. Good song. Good crowd participation. Vin out.
Sori out.
Gone.